Hello and welcome to this episode of Skill Up Like a Superhero, the podcast that answers your questions about your careers and certifications in tech. I am your host, Dwayne Natwick, also known as Captain Hyperscaler, a certified trainer for Microsoft. I'm also a Microsoft MVP. I'm an ISC2, Osaka, and CompTIA trainer as well, with close to 40 years of industry experience. Today, we are talking about going from Cloud Zero to Cloud Hero Maker, and I am joined today by none other than Sammy Cheung, the example of Hero Maker in IT certifications. So, hello, Sammy. How are you doing today? And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you, Dwayne, for inviting me. Yes, my name is Sammy Cheung. I have been in IT for over 30 years. I am an AWS ambassador, a community builder. I also active as an AWS instructor. I get into cloud. Why this is an interesting topic? It's only a few years ago I get into cloud. Prior to that, I'm zero. But then I find out that my journey hit some roadblocks and bumps, and I want to share the story. So now I'm very active in making heroes. Not only AWS, I'm also Microsoft certified trainer. I'm fully certified on Google Cloud as well as Microsoft and other. The whole point is, how can we as the IT professional learn from my mistake or make some shortcut, so you be the hero tomorrow? That would be one of the things I like the most. Back to you, Dwayne.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy. And yeah, I mean, you're very modest about your your accreditations and everything. I think at this point you have about all of the cloud certifications that there are for every hyperscaler. And like you said, your journey has been in a relatively short time frame, which is really interesting. Is there a particular, first question I have for you really is there a particular hyperscaler that you feel provided you with all of the tools for their platform, and as you learned about them and went from that zero to hero aspect, why don't you give me a little bit of context around each of them and kind of your thoughts and opinions around them?
Sure, let's start. Since my whole journey starts from AWS, so let me start with AWS. So yes, AWS does provide very good tools and platforms, and also many free resources to help you to be successful. Think about this: all cloud providers or hyperscaler, they want you to be successful in that domain, so you will provide more solutions, so it's big win. The second part, I will also say, forget about which cloud provider. They're all going to help you to help the customer to solve very similar problem, but just using their services. So back to AWS. AWS, when I started, they have what they call AWS training and certification. Now they actually changed it, called a skill builder, which is much better platform. They used to be well organized, had tracks, and many tracks are free, or you can pay for the pay subscription, which is going to have more lapse time for you to do hands-on, which is excellent choice. And not on this, and AWS also have other community based like AWS community builder that Dwayne and I all belong to that, and they also have all kind of other platforms. So that's on AWS. But if you go to other provider like Microsoft Learn is a very good platform which provide free services for many training. And on Google, they do have a Coursera, which is their official training partner. You can sign up for many classes, training courses for like free for 7 days. So cancel it day one, then you have spent 7 days to do that. So I'm not going to deep dive too much at the end. I'm probably going to have all the resources we can link. But the basic answer is like, pick a platform, use what's available before you jump into the third party add-on or free tools. And that will make sure you from zero to hero. Back to you, Dwayne.
Very good. Now, obviously you take, me and you both have taken a lot of certification exams, and the thing that I always tell everybody is, you're not going to pass every exam, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. I always think of it as an opportunity. You've well documented on your social media the number of certifications that you had, your 50 by 50 and all of those things that you had, from a standpoint of success in in gaining those certifications and passing those exams versus the opportunities created from not performing the way that you needed to pass the exams. What what are some of the things that you can kind of give as kind of some lessons learned that you have from taking those exams, and sometimes having to go back and retake them because you weren't successful?
Thank you. Yes, that's one thing I find many times. Maybe I have to go back a little bit before that. How I get into IT and why I have a certification. I get into IT by mistake. I actually want to do the electrical engineer, because my father is a lecturer on that field. So I have access to a guru. Why not? But because of various reasons, when I came to the United States, I had to pick computer science in order to graduate faster. So then after I graduate, I stopped studying because I don't believe in reading textbook. I don't believe in getting certification because that's no value to me. Keyword, no value to me, because I don't know how to get the value. So now go to what you just asked. Passing an exam or failing the exam is not the value. The value is, have you learned anything from that training? And the second value, why you failed the exam or any test, have you learned from it? That learning is the value, that value the most, because when you work on the real job, they don't care whether you can answer the question correctly or not. Is, can you solve that business problem, bring value to the customer or the business? That is the value. So when you take the exam or any training, focus on what I learned. What value can I do when I apply it? Not just answer A, B, C, D, E. Those are useful, but not that useful. The most useful part is once you do that. That is why I like to share sometimes my failure, because the failure itself means you have gaps. When you have gaps, you learn from it, you gain the value. So next time you do it, you won't fail that same exam on the same area, means you fill the gap. Guess what? Logically, you will clear it next time. And that is the step we do in the IT career. Is like you need to make sure in your career you will face some setback. But that is not a failure if you learn from it and move on. So for everyone else, do not be afraid not hitting the mark. Be afraid you don't even try. So that's what I always tell people, try that. Yes.
That's an amazing point to take from that, because that's the way that a lot of times if I'm taking an exam, I will figure out immediately where I am not prepared, and like you said, it is all how you're bringing value, and that opportunity to extend that value the next time you take the exam. And like you said, it is a journey to solving problems and solving business problems. It's not just, and I think a lot of people, this is where I really get into kind of opinionated discussions around when somebody's like, where do I get a good assessment questions for this exam? Well, if you're just learning how to answer questions for an exam, you're not really getting any value out of it. And that's what I love about what you pointed out around the skill builders with AWS and some of the hands-on stuff that Coursera has with Google. Microsoft has their cloud sandbox and Microsoft Learn, and they're doing those applied skills credentials that kind of enhance just the certificate training that really are starting that build more business value than just being able to know whether A, B, C, or D is the correct answer, right? And that's really what it comes down to. You're not, getting a certification is great, but if you aren't getting any value out of it, if you aren't putting it in practice afterwards, that's what we're here for as trainers and as consultants, is to help people get to that point where they're providing value to a business. And that's really, I think, a really good point that you made there. And I'm assuming you probably have your own stories about that and how it helped you gain, get positions in companies from from what you have learned from certifications. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, that's true. So maybe I go back a little bit, because I always want to tell story from the beginning. I just want to get a cert. once I get a certification, I fulfill a business requirement. It's not the cert, it's a business requirement. I need to get an AWS certification for the organization. This is also telling other people, you may be the superstar, rockstar, ninja programmer, but if your organization needs you to be certified, you don't certify, you are not bringing business value. Remember that? So do not just think about that this certification don't bring value to me. Think about the receiving end, your employer, your client. So to that, when I started, I find out that I don't know a lot. So I got the excitement. When you get the excitement, you learn. But at the same time, you will hit roadblock. You will have gaps you don't know. And typically, we avoid things we don't know. But certification, you cannot avoid things you don't know. You have to learn. When you learn that, many times you maybe get a concept wrong. So then you try to figure it out. Guess what? If you get it right, you know why the wrong answer wrong. So that's why when I say when you have assessment, not pick the right answer. I will always ask my candidate during interview, oh, I know you get the right answer. Why the wrong answer is wrong? Can you tell me why? Because if you cannot tell me why they are wrong answer, you may just memorize the correct answer. Not everything in the real world is about you just pick the correct answer. You also have to justify why the wrong answer is wrong. If you are being a solution architect or security engineer, architect like Dwayne, you do not say, you just do this way. You have to tell why the other way is wrong, why it's wrong in the business, why you should not make this decision. Then they will not only know that you know, they also know you more than why the wrong one is wrong. So that's why most of the time when you are unable to get certified on many areas, it's not because you don't know, it is because you haven't found out what you don't know. And the second part is during the training, you can assess your gap very quickly. Things I know, I watch it 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times speed. I have no problem understanding because I understand it. Things I don't get it, even 1 time speed, sometimes, what are you talking about? I go back because that training helps you to find the gap. At the end of the day, business needs engineer, professional to solve their business gaps. And if you're able to, either you know the solution or you can filter out the wrong direction, that itself brings value. So what do you think?
No, that's a very key point, and that's always something that I tell people when I'm teaching and when I'm going through, like a knowledge check after a domain or something like that. I explain why those answers are wrong as part of the training. Okay, we do a Slido and 8 out of 10 people in the class answer it correct. Well, why is that correct? And why are here is why the other ones are wrong. Here's the word or the point that they're putting in there that is not accurate to the overall the stem that they're of the question that they're asking. So yeah, definitely that is a very key point.
For that, add one more thing. And because sometimes we need to appreciate Dwayne to invite to create exam question or assessment question. So when you get the right answer, you can change a few keywords. Another thing is when you take an exam, that's another skill. It's not just your technical skill, how to answer the question, to figure out the keywords and to solve the business problem, the main problem, because there's many things you can solve. So for example, the performance is poor, and then cost is a concern, and they want to be at the most cost-efficient solution, then you remember that cost efficient is more important than performance. Then you pick the answer. But when you change the answer, when you read the question and any assessment, you change the answer, put your own answer, which will change the answer for which will solve the performance problem. Guess what? One assessment question solve your critical thinking, how to solve similar problem, different focus. And when you have that kind of mindset change, it not only taking exam in the real world, because customer can ask about 10,000 problems followed by, can you solve me this? They say, you tell me 10,000 things, only one thing is important, cost, performance, or security. And if they I want to say 3 problems, just tell them narrow to the most high priority one, because solving 1 problem is easy, solving 3 problems all at the same time is way too complex. So that's why I say is I not just look at the answer, why it's wrong, why it's right, but also if you are being a mentor, challenge yourself and challenge your audience. Say, what can you change to change this question so you will solve a performance issue? Now suddenly they start thinking, oh, I know how to save money. Performance, a bigger instant, correct? Except you hit the limit, scale out. So now they can become more hands-on, even though it's not hands-on keyboard, but hands-on critical thinking, how to solve business problem differently.
No, that's an excellent point, and yeah, and something that I haven't done myself when teaching classes, but I'm definitely gonna apply that thinking, because yeah, it does it switches gears on the class and the people and the way that you're learning, because yeah, you're looking at it in different lenses, and generally when because those of us that teach the classes aren't generally also the ones that are writing the exam questions,
Mhm.
but we're looking at it in those various perspectives anyway. Somebody might have a different perspective of how they're asking that particular skill versus how you might ask that particular skill. So try and put yourself in other scenarios, like you said, and try and solve those problems, because that level of critical thinking, when you get in front of a hiring manager looking for a job, is going to be very important, because that's what they're looking what generally, when we're dealing with cloud and we're dealing with security and protecting data and all of those things, it all has a lot to do with critical thinking and the ability to analyze a situation and find those key priorities that an organization may have, and respond accordingly. So those
Yeah.
are really, really, really good points.
I also want to add, this is when I was being AAI, which is authorized AWS authorized instructor, and similar for MCT when I was teaching. It's like if you just tell them like how to do solve a business problem, the audience, the students have limited retention for the information. So when I was teaching, I always try to see for that subject, do I have a previous use case, either real use case I have or the use case I read about it on the article. Then you people hear a story. Most of us can remember the story better than reading the text. So like sometimes they say that this is a poor way to auto scale things. And I, instead of saying this is a poor way, I tell a true example of that I have. And then I'm going to not mention the customer name. And then this is how it doesn't work. And I change the screen from black, basically say the use case, I change the background to white, how to solve that problem. So now this basically I hit 3 birds at 1 stone. I teach the material, I tell them a story, the why is wrong, and I tell them the story was right. And that also made me become a better presenter, because this one I can catch the audience. This is not just talk about taking exam or like presenting to customer. When you are your mind's bored, thinking is linear, you will fall asleep. When you fall asleep, when I was learning AWS, on back then I'm using a Cloud Guru, is a platform, keep me engaged, because the way how present the class is interesting, short. So I keep engaging. If not, I may listen to the audio, like podcast, whatever, for 2 hours. After 10 minutes, the rest, like hour and 15 minutes, is basically noise. I don't hear it. People probably don't know. And that is one thing I also think is for people prepare for certification. If you think this is something more boring or something you dislike, most likely your journey will be painful. But if you think about this is that entertainment, find a way to make content entertain, to solve a real problem, and that which have value at the end, maybe you have bonus or customer like you, that excites you, and that excitement keep you pumping. I don't know about Dwayne. What's the longest exam you have when you are taking a certification?
Oh, the longest exam was probably the CISSP exam when I took that one. That was, I think it was like, I think we had like 5 or 6 hours when I took it, because I took it in 2009, and it was paper and pencil. So
Oh,
it was like Scantron in a university classroom. So it
okay,
was a
okay.
very long, it was like sitting there for like the SATs. But yeah, that one was a long one. Yeah, the the AWS ones to me are extremely uh mind numbing, I guess, from a standpoint of
Intense.
how
I would just say
yeah,
intense.
intense, how exhausted you feel when you're finished with them.
Yeah.
They are much more intense than Microsoft to me. Definitely,
That,
just because Microsoft will take a scenario based situation, or a case study, and they'll do one case study and they'll break it out into multiple questions. with the one case study. So you only have to read the one customer scenario once. But at AWS, it's like every question is a case study. So it's it's just so much reading that it makes it very exhausting from that standpoint.
The reason why I'm asked is the longest AWS exam is a beta exam. If it's a professional beta, means 4+ hours. And because I take it online, you have to look in front of the screen. You cannot take bathroom. You cannot do anything. Right. I'm sorry. So which means for me is I try to doing it like I have run marathon. You have to pace yourself. You have to do the water break. You have to probably close your eyes for like 5-10 seconds. No, that 5-10 seconds for those long exams is needed. Otherwise, you would just burn out and tire. But more important, I always say that why we talk about from cloud 0, we don't say cloud certification 0. Is when you engage with the customer, some of them will ask you a business scenario like what Dwayne say, after 5 minutes still talking, so what's your key point? You have to summarize it quickly and ask, is that what you asked? And then if you lost interest, then it's not good. But that is another practice. I think one of the reasons AWS do it that way is because they want you to be quickly skim the whole thing, find the keyword, understand the business scenario. So when you do your real job, you can sound very intelligent and pick the right answer. The Azure one, which for people who hasn't taken the Azure or even Google, they used to have a case study. I don't know whether they still do it. It's a long paragraph, long story. But the problem is, if you already prepped, you know what are the keywords you're supposed to look in the whole paragraph. And Dwayne probably have read some kind of business contract. You look at that 20 pages, you need to give a summary within a minute. But when you get enough practice, this kind of fast reading will help you. And that is not about certification. That is about you become a cloud professional, be it in security, which I presume Dwayne read 10,000 security requirement. Oh, I know the next DCD is only section 5.1.2 is most people care the most. You don't do enough reading, you don't even know that section exists. But once you know that, you can go back to that section. Yep. So that is why I say certification is almost like a training run. Before you run the marathon, you have to do some running. When you finish clear, that doesn't mean you will be successful in the real world running the true marathon in your cloud career. But if you can't even finish the lap in a 400-meter track, do not even try to run the full half marathon. I say you're just going to suffer. That is why I think certification have this value. That's what I missed. Remember, I say after college I stopped because I do not see the value, because I failed to find the value. The value is a practice to make you better, to help you to find your gap faster. So that's why you see right now, I probably have over 100 certification or badges. In a way, it's meaningless, because once I finish first certification, I know how I'm supposed to continue to train your body and mind. And that's why I ask people, is that you haven't started you are still cloud 0, pick your first fundamental search certification, and then build up from there. They are shortcuts, but build solid foundation. Just kind of doing how you build your foundation. How do you think we should probably talk about the foundation building to be a cert guru in one day?
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, the fundamental certs, those skill builders, like look for the free, the free cloud sandboxes and things that AWS and Microsoft and that you can get out there, is just anything, like you said, to build that skill and to build that value and to take those starting steps. There's a whole bunch of different fundamentals certs out there for there's the AWS Cloud Practitioner, there's Azure Fundamentals, there's the Google digital whatever
digital leader,
digital leader, and it was and then there's a whole lot of security ones there, for ISC2 has the certified in cybersecurity that you can do free on demand, and they give you a voucher for it if you're not a credential holder with ISC2. So there's all sorts of these starting paths that can start your start your certification path, start your learning path, start that value, building that value, and finding that passion. And I've talked about this with some of the other guests on other episodes of the podcast while I've been recording this. If you find something you're passionate about, and I know you're very passionate about certifications, you're very passionate about running. You've used the marathon, half marathon. I know you use what you do in terms of running and certifications as parallels to life lessons, which is great. Those all go into the value that you're going to bring to yourself professionally and personally, as well as to a potential employer. If you have a passion for it, it's going to come through, and your willingness to learn is going to come through in an interview and help you land those jobs.
Yeah, and another thing people forget, because why you get certification, one of the reasons is your employer or your client is looking for it, but they don't really care about your cert. They care about whether you know the knowledge, number one, whether you can bring business value. Number three, you mentioned a little bit about the passion about that technology. So when people ask, how can I get so many certifications? The question is, you don't care about me, you, audience, all of you. Why you want to get a certification? If you once you know the value you like, find the thing. For example, finding the gap in the knowledge I don't know is one passion I have. So for AWS, for example, for people say, I want to get into AWS, I already grew. Okay, go to foundational. The cloud practitioner, you should be able to study for less than 30 minutes, or don't even study, just take the exam. If you cannot clear that, don't tell me you know that. Similar for Azure. If you say you are Azure guru, you don't need to take the AC 900. I say you do. Say sometimes those are foundational ones are free. Actually, many providers provide for free. If you cannot clear that, stop telling us. Us means I'm the client. Don't tell me that you are a guru. You can't even clear the foundational one. So just using AWS, get a foundation, which is a cloud practitioner, then go to the associate, which is going to be solution architect, developer, and sysop. That build your foundation. Don't think once you understand associate, you're going to build the Netflix on AWS. No, it won't happen. But then you slowly go to the professional, and for that one, find the one you like. You may be all interested in security. Start with security. Once you know the security, apply to data security always together, then go into machine learning. Similarly, on Azure, you get the AC 900, which is a foundational on Azure platform. Go to the administrator. Not say you be an administrator, but you know how to admin that platform. That's a more like associate level. Then jump to the Azure expert. Same thing with Google, digital leader, and then go to ACE, associate, and then go to more like advanced professional. Each provider is different. My take is pick the provider, in my case, AWS, being the best value for you, try to finish as much of that platform. Then when you have that business knowledge, how to solve the business problem, and then you learn from another platform, just swapping the services and understand the differences. So now you not only be a cloud hero of one cloud, you become the multi-cloud hero. And that will definitely help your security because Dwayne is a security expert. In security, you don't say, I only know how to solve Azure platform. We are multi-cloud, you are useless. But you say, I can solve Azure, every single Defender product, I know how to set up that. I know how to use all the login sites, but I also know other cloud platform. You want me to be in your team to make your system more secure? Guess what? You just get a hiring manager, or you just get a customer want to sign a contract with you.
Yeah. Oh, no, those are great points. Yeah, I appreciate everything that you provided. What we can do in the description to the podcast is Sammy, if you can share any links to any resources that you find useful, and I'll provide some as well to our listeners, that you can go to the podcast description and find those links. That seems to be very helpful in a lot of these episodes, is to give some information to everybody to take away and to take you on your path. But definitely, like Microsoft Learn, AWS Skill Builders, the Google Coursera. If you go out and just use your search engine and you can find those very easily, and find lots of free training and free capabilities to get you started in there. So I wanted, we're getting towards 30 minutes, which we try and keep these under. So I'm going to bring an end to this episode today, but Sammy, probably have you back again in the future. Or, like you said, like we were talking before we went live, that we could probably talk for hours and hours on certifications and going down different paths. One of the things that we're going to that my plan is for this podcast is to go down different paths and talk about different specific certifications as we go through. So I'll probably tag you for some of those conversations with your experience in different hyperscalers in different areas. So I want to thank you for that.
Mhm.
Everybody, thank you for listening to today's episode. Please subscribe to stay up to date for all upcoming episodes. And until next time, always be learning and skilling up like a superhero. So thanks a lot, Sammy.
Thank you. Bye, guys.